Welcome to the Be Human Medicine podcast. I'm your host, Oliveyah Fisch. This is a space to practice. It's a space to return to your truth, deepen your self-trust, and remember who you're here to become. Together, we practice being human medicine for ourselves first, and then for the world. Let's begin. Hello, both of you. Hi, Sheila. Hi,
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 nice to be here.
Suhas. It's so wonderful to have you here. I feel so honored to have both of you here today. And essentially, we have all met because we are all facilitators that have been supporting Moongate, which is a new sanctuary being built in Costa Rica. And I am so honored to be a part of this project with you. I'm getting to hear such amazing things from the people who have been to your retreats because I am doing the integration work with them through the Be Human Medicine app. And they have these beautiful things to say about your work and your body of work. And I can't wait for you to talk to me and teach me something today, as well as just have us practice something very practical and give us a little nugget of what can we do today that we might not be doing that will allow us to feel better, contribute more, and be able to be human medicine to ourselves and to everyone else. So thank you for being here. I really
Thank you for
appreciate.
having us on the podcast, Liv. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great to be here.
So let's just dive right in. If there was something you can share with me and the audience that if you can do these three things, that could change your life. And I was working as a health coach for a long time, as well as a fitness instructor. And I said to them often, if I could get you to get better sleep, I can solve 90% of your problems. And I'm wanting to know how accurate that is. And also, what is it that I just need to know? What do people need to know? What do they need to integrate today that they might not be doing? So maybe this question can be for Sheila to start, and then Suhas, you can take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct. I mean, with the fact that sleep is really, if not the most important one, definitely one of the most important aspects of sleep because it does improve physical health, mental health, as well as spiritual well-being, spiritual health. And so it's vital that we get restorative, regenerative sleep. And it's also important to talk about because so many people around the world, 1 in 3 adults, struggle with sleeps, falling asleep, staying asleep, many getting good restful sleep. And so when we don't have good sleep, you can be doing all the right things during the day and still not getting the impact that you'd like from those daily habits. So what I recommend, and I think one of the main things that interferes with our sleep is just an overactivated nervous system. So and mind, so I always teach people deep breathing, just slow down the breath. That'll slow down the mind, and to do it throughout the day. And it can be for just a few minutes, but it's a cumulative benefit if you're doing it throughout the day. Also, getting some sort of movement because you want to have a good physical, tiredness to be able to fall asleep. I think and it can be sometimes too much or not enough. So getting that good balance of movement. And then I'm a huge fan of journaling. So I teach people, and we talk about it in the book that Dr.Suhas and I wrote, Awakened Sleep, a journaling practice that I've been recommending to people to do before bed for many years. And I'm a real big believer in making things practical. So it takes about 2 minutes to do any one of those things. So it doesn't have to take over your day.
Great. Okay. So we need sleep. We're going to add movement in. We're going to incorporate breath. We're going to journal. Maybe you can walk us through this journaling prompt for 2 minutes in a little bit. How about for you, Dr. Suhas? Would you agree I can solve 90% of people's problems if I can get them to sleep better?
I think so because it's not just the sleep. The three pillars of health from an Ayurvedic perspective is diet, sleep, and exercise. And they all depend upon each other. If you eat well, then you sleep better. If you sleep better, you have enough energy to do physical movement and exercise. So, diet, sleep, and exercise objectively are the three things that I would advise people that these are the most important things that you can correct and will affect everything, your physiological needs as well as your psychological needs. Subjectively speaking, though, I think meditation is one of the most important things that one can apply to one's daily living, because adding meditation and living in a meditative state where you learn how to be non-judgmental, how to be less reactive, and be mindful of the present state awareness is something that you can slowly cultivate. I know your beautiful book is going to come out very soon called Spiritual Heartbeat, but it's the same thing. It's how you lead an awakened life, how you live an enlightened life, as we call it, depends upon these simple yogic techniques, which are good for practical living. So, as we try to improve our diet, sleep, and exercise, we have to slowly evolve to be a better spiritual human being. And your app that you talk about, Be Human, is something very important because that human experience should be hinging towards your divine experience. And sleep is a perfect way where you make segues every night from your human to your divine experience on a nightly basis. And I think using that as one of the ways, as Dr. Sheila said, journaling is the most important thing. We mention another interesting exercise in the book called as recapitulation. Recapitulation is something that, as you close your eyes in the bed, you rewind your entire day in front of your closed eyes. You rewind everything that when did you wake up, what did you do first thing after you wake up, who you met, what was the breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything, as if you're rewinding your movie, as if you're passively watching, dispassionately detached to the entire day, and it takes the brunt away from whatever stressful situation that you had, and you allow yourselves to find gratefulness, gratitude, joy, compassion, and that creates a perfect template for you to fall asleep and stay asleep and wake up in a more energized manner, I would say.
Fantastic. I've never done that before. I think the only reflection I've done in the evening has just been what are 3 things that made the day great is usually what I'll do, and I'll write that out. And how can I make the day better even tomorrow? Kind of a journal prompt. But this idea of scanning the whole day, how long does that take you, Dr. Suhas, to
It's
do?
roughly about 5 to 7 minutes. If at
Okay.
all you want to spend enough time and you want to look at each experience closely, how many people I met, what conversations I had, what kind of text I did, what kind of emails I sent. If I really go into the depth of it, it will give me an understanding of my own fabric of how do I react, why do I react, and it allows me to improve upon that next time I do the same thing. And slowly it allows us to look at our own day, because we are habitual creatures. We do keep on doing the same thing over and over again, but something that has worked on and something that gives us a lot of joy and happiness, we need to keep on doing it. And something that doesn't serve us that well, and we keep on to those patterns of repeating those poor mistakes, we should slowly funnel those out of our daily living.
Love that. Thank you. If someone was going to shadow you for a day, what would they see you doing? What's like a small thing that you just do regularly that has such a big impact that you have found in your own life? Someone was to shadow you, like, oh, that's an interesting thing. I'm not doing that. Is there something that you two might be doing that I'm not doing that makes a big impact in your day?
I think it's again back to the basics. If someone walked through my day, they would see I take little breathing breaks all throughout the day, especially, this helped me tremendously in my practice. So when I see patients, I just started doing a few seconds of breathing before I walk in a room, and it's just an excellent way to be present, and that's half of the healing is just being present for people. And so I just do that all the time. Once I started connecting to my breath, it's like addicted to observing my breath now. So that's something you'll see me do throughout the day for sure. And then, I think it's people can sometimes make things very complicated, right? Like, oh, I need to get to a yoga class. And as much as I love that, I will often do because, I do sit as part of my job. I'm on the computer and et cetera. So I'll do some chair yoga. Like very often I'll just take again, a minute break and do 6 directions of the spine or just some gentle stretching, doing Ayurvedic eye exercises, moving my eyes in all the directions and then proceed, with what I'm doing. So it's just a lot of little things like that throughout the day to break up the strain and the stress of the day.
Well, from my perspective, I think eating good quality home cooked meals on a daily basis is a big part of our life and Ayurvedic living. I think having rainbow colored foods, plant based diet, a healthy vegetarian diet, having khichdi, at least one meal a day that I eat almost every day. When I'm here and in our office, we have khichdi as a meal for all of us as well as our patients to get. So I think eating clean foods is a big part of our everyday living and enough exposure to outdoor sunlight. We want to spend enough time every day with getting enough sunlight and hydration, I would say, is also very important that I make sure that I'm drinking enough water throughout the day and I'm exposing myself with a lot of outdoor physical activity and movements. I think consistently all of those things, of course, meditation, no doubt about it. But I think slowly all of those things become a way of how you think and how you live. And many of our patients ask us this very unique question. I think if you ask me, let me do just one thing once a week or something, it may not really work out. But once you slowly start embracing those things where those healthy things that are good for you becomes a way of living, that's half of your enlightenment, I would say.
So everyone's going to listen to this. I'm listening to you. And okay, meditate, eye movement, stretches, breath work, eat the khichdi, make sure that I'm mindful and connected to spirit. So everyone's on board. Let's just pretend everyone's on board with this. Okay. What I hear is, okay, great, but I can't get to sleep without some kind of Xanax or meditation or CBD or something. I have high anxiety. My doctors keeps prescribing me these medications. I don't get great sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock every day. What do I do? What do I do? And I think that what I'm hearing you say, yeah, we have to do all of these things. And when I'm talking to my clients, it seems so overwhelming for them. Okay. It does. It seems overwhelming. And I'm wanting to meet them where they're at. And I think that part of this is always a commitment and a choice, right? There's always just like you have to commit, you have to choose, you have to make it really important. And I don't know if it's lack of effort, if I'm honest. For the people who are struggling with sleep, I don't know if they're not trying to get good sleep. But I do see that bad habits get in the way. And when I start to help them take away before I add, that seems to work out well. I'm wondering how much of that you are talking to your clients about, or how much that's in the book around, you know, eliminating things before they're adding anything in.
Well, I think there are multiple things that we mentioned in the book, and every tool that we have mentioned in the book is backed up by the latest science, I would say. But we see a lot of clients that you are describing right now, and that is one of the reasons why we wrote this book,
Right.
because there are a couple of mistakes that we often see. And I wrote my earlier book called The Hot Belly Diet. And one of the messages in that book was eat late to gain some weight, sleep late to gain some weight. If you're eating late, sleeping late, that is a bad problem and you need to correct for. So you have to correct that. You tell them that try to eat at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. Try not to eat anything after 7 p.m. And ideally between 10 to 10:30, you should be asleep. Should get this thing out of your bedroom and you should not be leaving this on your bedstand. So at least an hour or so before you go to sleep, you're not checking on your emails, you're not responding to any text, and for God's sake, not checking on your social media. And avoid any blue light in your bedroom. television screen, iPad, phones, anything like that. Keep the bedroom dark. Very simple. There's nothing that you are doing which is out of ordinary rocket science, but eating a little bit early, keeping the blue light away, and probably refining your meditation practice in your bed. Because one of the number one reason why people are afraid to be alone with themselves is that they are facing their own thoughts. They're tuning into their own radio station, which can be very scary at times. So meditation is one of the best way to allow you to feel comfortable in your own company. I jokingly tell to my patients, if you are alone and feeling lonely, then you are in a bad company. And feeling comfortable with yourself, with your own thoughts. So when you meditate and you take your meditation practice with you on your bed and slowly allow yourself to feel more grounded and comfortable and seek the bigger health, the bigger higher energy, higher consciousness through which, whether it could be God, it could be a good Christian prayer of any kind, it could be a chant of something that allows you to feel supported. All of those are things. And you may think that there are too many things, but once you understand, once you acknowledge, and once you keep on adding one or two things every night, then within a month you might have perfected a perfect sleep hygiene routine, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with what everything Dr. Suhas said. It is and the little things add up. Sometimes people think, you have to again do things, huge changes. But I will say part of it is a commitment. It's very easy to just give someone a medication and they go to sleep. And I mean, I see many of these patients, and I was guilty of doing that in the beginning of my career because that's what we were taught to do. I feel like a lot of physicians don't know what else to do. We're not taught all of these things that Ayurveda teaches us of how to get natural sleep. But I think science is really helping us. I really believe in education. I'm always surprised when I start explaining these things to patients how, we might think they know these things, but they don't. How are they getting the information, which is part of the reason we wrote the book, because many people don't know these are the things that are interfering with their sleep. And now science is also telling us all of these sleep aids, they might put you to sleep, but you don't get the good restorative, regenerative sleep. So science is actually helping us to, at least for me, when I see people that have been on sleep meds for years, and I'll always ask them, and even if they say, well, I'm getting good sleep, if I ask them if they have other health conditions, or I say, do you feel rested when you wake up? And if the answer is no, or they have a lot of other, health issues going on, it's like, we need to address this because science is telling us you're not getting good sleep, even though these meds are putting you to sleep. And that includes things like alcohol or other substances that people use to sedate themselves and go to sleep, but it's not actually getting the root cause, and they can be harmful in the long run. Educating people on these things, I think, is important. Just as far as your question on removing things, just as important as bringing things in. When we talk about the senses, and Ayurveda is very clear on proper use of the senses, they can be overstimulated. And so what in your environment throughout the day can you turn off? The TV, or even, music can be very healing, but I think we need to use sound intentionally. If there's just background noise, that's overstimulating the nervous system, so what can you remove that is overstimulating, and that, like Dr. Suhas said, can include light and the screens and the phones. So yeah, we have to do both. We have to remove what's interfering and bring in support for natural sleep. And that's the only way that people will be able to get off of the medications. And they don't know what else to do. You need to bridge with other practices, and then slowly you can easily get people off of the medication. I've done it, for many years now since I learned Ayurveda.
And
Thank you.
what can be removed is sometimes that you're not even aware that what you're doing could be contributing. Like, to give you an example, I had a patient who used to go to a gym at 8 o'clock in the night and was doing a brisk workout for about an hour. And around 9 o'clock, he was coming back home after having a good workout and was able to take a shower and eat his dinner and try to go to sleep, which he could not because the body was so hot and so warm and so awake that he has actually missed the bus to fall asleep easily. So the latency of sleep was getting affected. So for me to tell him that exercise is good, but the timing is awful, is important for them to
Yeah.
realize. So So it's not what you eat, when you eat. It's not how much sleep you get, but when you sleep. It's not how much exercise you do, but when you exercise. The science is all about when, from a chronobiological perspective.
I learned that from you, Dr. Suhas. You sent me so generously your book, Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. And I got to read that a couple months ago. And I was experiencing a lot of hormonal issues. And that has been a game changer for me. I was doing things at the wrong time. And I was not consistent with my lunchtime. I was pretty good at breakfast and dinner, but my lunchtime could have been anywhere between 11 and 3 p.m., like pretty wide variety there. And also the timing of the workout. I think one of the things I learned from that book was being able to get up pretty early and get my movement in right away has been a huge shift. And what I was thinking, it was like, okay, well, on the days I go to the gym, I do that. But on the days I am on a walk or doing cardio, I can chill out a little bit, but that's not working. And I do notice that my energy is very different from when I'm staying on point on that and almost doing my movement a little bit before the sunrise. I'm trying to test this out right now, and maybe you can just fast track me a little bit too. But I notice that if I can get movement in right before the sun comes up, which is now changing because it's fall coming up, I'm trying to figure out the best time. And does that change with the seasons as well?
Does. It
Okay.
does. The light. And a very interesting thing that we mentioned in the book is understanding your mind body type. So, Liv, since I know you, we know that you're lean and thin and beautiful, attractive personality with curly, wavy hair. So, that all stands as a Vata personality. Is that right? So, Vata personality. And they have to be very regular with everything what they do in terms of their exercise, their sleep timing, their eating timing, because I like to call Vata people as regularly irregular. So when there's a lot of irregularity in the routine, in the sleep timing, in digestion, in the bowel movement, everything gets affected. So once you start doing things regularly, and the common advice for everyone that any sleep app or something will tell, keep the bedroom super cool and things like that. But for a Vata person, when it's that cold and they're freezing cold in their bedroom, may not be that good for you. So understanding what kind of a sleeper type are you? Are you a Vata type of sleeper who is very sensitive to even a little noise in your bedroom or even a light in your bedroom? If your sleep becomes light and then you're looking at the clock, that is really bad for the Vata person because you're looking at that glowing clock in your room and saying that it's just 3 o'clock in the morning and I can't sleep, then just that thought is good enough to keep you awake at night. So, so subtle things that we have said that depending upon what kind of sleeper type you are, we have created quizzes in the book. We have talked about what are the things that you should follow. And it's a challenge that if you're married to a Pitta person who wants to keep the bedroom cool and you are a Vata person who wants it warm, then it could be challenging. So you go to TikTok and social media, there are hundreds of apps and people talking about taping your mouth and get this kind of a cooling pillow or that pad or this mattress, hundreds of products, but they don't understand that who we are and how we react to a given situation. So, as Sheila was saying, the sensory response in different body type is very important. So, like for a Pitta person, if they're checking their work related emails before they go to sleep, or they take their laptop and working in the bed, it's going to haunt them. And they're into a planning, calculation, analysis mode where they're writing emails to people in their sleep also.
I've I wrote a whole book in my sleep. Pretty sure I wrote my book in my sleep.
And there are so many inventions that have happened in the creative state. People have composed songs created with inventions. The DNA double helix strand was conceived in deep sleep. The periodic table of Mendeleev was conceived in that. So what it means is that when you withdraw the senses, that's when your intelligence is connected with the cosmic intelligence. And that information is very easy and effortless. So the most creative phase of your sleep is your deep sleep, when you are asleep and you're connected with elevated state of consciousness. So what we are doing before sleep as a part of awakened sleep is actually allowing you to tap into your creative energy to manifest things what you want to manifest in your life. You want to sleep on it, and you want to clear the weeds of your thought and plant the seeds of what you want to manifest in your life. So you clear those weeds consciously before you go to sleep, and then you plant the seeds in that state of awareness in the consciousness, which is the pure field of potentiality. Okay. You don't have to do a whole lot, whether you want to manifest a beautiful relationship, whether you want to manifest a beautiful job, or you want to do something else and you want to improve a relationship with someone, that you don't have to do anything. You just have to clear the weeds, put the seeds in, and you will see those things sprouting in your life, because what you have done is you have connected your individual consciousness with that cosmic state of consciousness, and that is a non-local communication. It's a synchrodestinic pattern from where things emerge and co-emerge. That is the property of consciousness. Emerging, co-emerging, re-emerging, these are the properties of consciousness. And we are aligning that with the person that we want to communicate. We are aligning that with the things that we want to manifest. And that is a direct pathway. So I think sleep, death, dying, connecting with your consciousness, dispelling the fear of death. These are what Ayurvedic medicine and Vedic literature have always talked about. And one of the premise of this book that we wrote was understanding the mystical nature of sleep. Sleep is given the status of a goddess, the goddess of creation, Yoga Maya. So you're connecting in the womb of the mother nature, from where you can procreate, recreate, and manifest things you want to nurture yourself.
So in that space, I love that you said that it's the practice then of taking an inventory of the day, and then also just being open to that creativity and that connection with yourself and the cosmic one of everything. Yes, so like the unifying consciousness, essentially. Is that what you're saying?
So much of the time, we can think things and manifest things through cognition and planning and all the things, but that's really using our ego mind and our, intellect. And creativity, as Dr. Suhas was saying, is actually a quality of consciousness. So pure creativity, we have to let go of the thought and connect to, consciousness transcends the body, transcends the mind. And that's a state that we can get into when we're in deep sleep. Also meditative states, just pure awareness. So it's not the thinking mind. So people, if you're afraid and you're thinking these things and you want to hold on to this thought and you're just going to hold on to the thinking mind throughout sleep, we have to learn to detach from thought. And that's when all of these creative things that people that come up during sleep is coming from a different place. It's coming from consciousness, not the cognitive mind.
There's an interesting point that I want to highlight here is that from the science, we know this 100% fact that everything that you experience is not real. 100% of everything that you touch, feel, smell, sense is not real. So whether what you're seeing during awake is real, or what you're feeling and seeing and experiencing in the night when you're asleep is real, which one has more grain of reality to it? And Yogamaya, which is the name for the goddess of sleep, is the goddess for dispelling the illusion. And how do you dispel illusion? Because we are constantly using our senses to see something when we are awake, to experience the world when we are awake. This is the only time, apart from meditation. Even when you are meditating, okay, you are still just close eyes, but you are feeling the temperature. You are still having the thoughts. You are listening to the sound, noise, whatever it is. You are still sensorial level. You are awake. The only time you are completely disconnected from your sensorial world is in sleep. So that is your ticket to elevated state of consciousness and awareness. And those are coming from the subconscious mind. Those are coming from your subconscious mind. The thoughts, the feeling, the desires, the fantasies, wherever it is, initially. Initially, they will come down. But with the techniques that we have mentioned in the awake and sleep, the first thing that you will see that is changing is the quality and the nature of sleep. That they don't come from inadequacies, they don't come from fear, they come from trust, faith, common positive emotions. of compassion, love, joy, gratitude, whatever it is. And when you experience that, then the nature of those dreams are more related with what is happening and what is evolving in your states of awareness. There are three states of consciousness that are common in animals, in plants, and everything, which is dreaming state, waking state, and sleeping state. The fourth state, which is the transcendental state, where you're neither sleeping nor dreaming nor awake, is where it opens the floodgates of your self realization. So, all the ancient literature, Vedas have talked a lot about it, but in all the ancient literatures have given a lot of importance to the gap between your sleeping state and your awakened state. And I think that is the reason why we have named this book as Awakened Sleep, because sleep can be a perfect extension to your meditation practice. You will never find time for 8 hours of meditation, but you can always create a sleep which is more of a sattvic sleep, which makes you a better human being, and wake up with a lot of health conscious thoughts and decisions that you want to participate in your own health and well-being. Whenever you are feeling depressed, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling angry or hostile, you engage into a lot of self-destructive thoughts, patterns, behavior, and actions. But when you're participating and uplifting your health, you start choosing things which are good for you. And I think that is the first giant stride towards improving your health, longevity, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, we do dedicate like a whole chapter actually on dreams because it's such a I think there's so much knowledge there in the Vedic philosophy and Vedic sciences, and which Ayurveda is, that explains, there are many different types of dreams, and some of them are just working through the emotions of the day. Some of them can be subconscious and traumas that are coming up through dream states. And then also just the potential to sort of creatively work through, scenarios in your dreams. But again, when we're clouded with, these unresolved emotions, we can't access some of the other benefits that can come from the dream state. But they're both different. Deep sleep and dream sleep have different purposes, and from what has been looked at in sleep science, but also in Vedic philosophy, these are different stages of sleep. And so different benefits with each. And these are the things that can be affected again by substances or medications. So even if you're sleeping, you may not be accessing memory consolidation that happens during both deep sleep and REM sleep or dream state, and also the physical healing, the emotional processing, the deep emotional processing. And then, as Dr. Suhas mentioned, science is really kind of vague, and there's not a lot that's known scientifically about that, the stages between sleep and waking state, these hypnagogic and hypnopompic states. And yoga nidra, as an example of a practice, really maximizes the healing that can occur when you're in this kind of liminal space. So yeah, there's a lot of fascinating information that comes from Ayurveda and Vedic sciences on these altered states that we can achieve.
Yeah, it's so fascinating.
We have given
Go ahead.
numerous examples in the book, which are very interesting for the readers to understand. Like there's a story about a patient of ours who was a teenager and wanted to play soccer, and he had a little broken foot, and his doctors told that he has to wait for another 6 weeks before they can cut open the cast. And he was able to see himself walking, running, and scoring the winning goal in the tournament that he desperately wanted to play. And he encouraged his doctor to cut open the cast and allow him to play. And exactly, he scripted that. And he was able to run, play soccer next week, and score the winning goal in the tournament. As if he had this mind which was totally above the matter and allowed the body to get healed to be able to do this.
Yeah, there's a couple things here that are so interesting. It's like verifying things I've been doing that now make more sense scientifically and with the work, a body of work that you all have. One of the things I do what I've done when I feel like my sleep is not as good is just be more interested in my dreams. So just that practice of I'm just interested in sleeping and I wonder what I'm going to dream about and I wonder how this can be beneficial to me to just remember my dreams and just make that part of the 24-hour period just as important as recording a podcast or picking my daughter up from school or something. And I think that that has always supported me. And then in addition to this creativity, this realm there, all of my good ideas like really come during that time of, oh, I'm about to go to sleep or I just woke up, and then it's like, that, that's the where to go. I almost feel like my intuition is more louder. It's very clear, and creativity comes to me easily. So I was joking when I said I wrote my book in my sleep, but I kind of did. And I would even wake up sometimes, or like in the middle of the night, 3 and 4 o'clock, and then it would just literally be a chapter to write down. And so I think that that would make sense. And I'm wanting to apply that because I do want to get better sleep next time I write a book, to just do that in the day, like if I can get into that state like you said, Sheila, during the day and just do that breath work and meditation more in the day, I can probably get into that hypnotic state as well, where, okay, there's clarity. So I would love for you to teach me some of this. There's so many good stuff. I can ask you questions all day. I'm not done asking questions, but I feel like we got to keep it to the timeline here. So there could be an opportunity for you to teach me any of those things you just mentioned. I'm really interested, Sheila, in this journal prompt because I'm a big journaler. So if there's something there that could be helpful. And then Dr. Suhas, the same thing. If you want to walk us through any of the practices that you just talked about with meditation, I would love to just do this with you so we can make it really practical together.
So yeah, so the journaling practice takes components of what we've already talked about. And I always tell people I prep that the whole process that I'm talking about should take about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe, 5 minutes maximum, depending on, how you do it. But when I do it, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes. So it's not the type of journaling you might do in the afternoon when you're working through a problem. It really ties in, again, pulling the weeds and then planting the seeds, as Dr. Suhas mentioned. So the first thing is just having a notebook or a journal or something that you can have
Yeah, I'm going to go get
right
my
at your
journal.
bed.
We're going to do this like right now. No, I'm serious. We're going to just do this right now. I got a pen. I'm going to get my journal. It's behind me.
Yeah. And again, like having it right next to your bed so you can just grab it and then put it down, and then do a meditative practice or breathing practice after that.
Okay, you just go for it. Just walk me through it.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
So there's two ways to start to sort of and it's really interesting brain science too with journaling. So when you clear the, cognitive mind or whatever, like you're holding on to in your cognitive mind. So this is kind of the process that's going on. So first you kind of slow down the cognitive mind by putting it down on paper. And then so there's 3 steps. So the first step is, again, recapitulation. You can actually write down your day as if you're observing it. And just like Dr. Suhas mentioned. And the way I usually tell people is write down as if you're watching yourself, but with video, but no audio. So you're not getting it all into the conversations that happen, but you might notice, who you talked to or, again, what you ate, but you don't want to get into the conversations themselves. And you want to do it with detachment, just like you're a witness. And so spend maybe 2 or 3 minutes doing that. Again, you can spend longer. So that's one thing, is called recapitulation. Sometimes if people don't enjoy that, there is another thing that I teach where you just observe what's going on in your thoughts and just write that down, kind of stream of consciousness, but not being attached to anything. So you could take a minute here and just write down all the thoughts that are going on in your head and just get them down on paper. And usually, again, because we're rethinking thoughts, a minute or two, there's just sort of a natural pause that occurs. Like, I've kind of just pulled the weeds. I've taken all the thoughts down and I put them down on paper. And then the next step is planting the seeds. So I tell people just write 1, 2, 3, because this isn't a cognitive practice. 1, 2, 3, that's it. And you write down 3 intentions that you have for, things that you want to accomplish or manifest, or affirmations. I'm a big believer in affirmations. And so I'll write down, I intend to, maybe it's be more physically active because that's a challenge for me, or an affirmation, I'm perfect exactly as I am. So sometimes it takes a little bit of, it's just personalized. What kind of seeds do you want to plant in your garden? But just 3 every night, and don't make it a big cognitive thing. And they can change every night. So I get that question a lot. Well, is it the same one every night? No, it can change. It's your garden, but just pick 3 things because otherwise you start thinking too much. So it's the first 3 things that come to mind. That's planting the seeds. And then the last step is 1, 2, 3. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And the first 3 things that come to you. And that's sort of like watering the seeds. It's watering these seeds with the gratitude. And then you close up your journal and put it away. And then you can lay down in bed and do a meditation practice like we're going to be led through, or do some deep breathing until you fall asleep. But this should be fairly close to like you're in bed. So you don't do this and then get up and do activity because you're really preparing your mind and your brain activity actually. It shifts out of stress mode and thinking mode and then goes into the parts of our brain that are where creativity and gratitude and all of those things come from. So that's, and again, that whole process should take about 2 to 3 minutes. In fact, if you were writing things down, you can see how fast it is.
Did it. I did it.
Yeah, exactly. And just, you just do that every night before you go to bed, and it really, really makes a huge difference.
How important is it for me to feel grateful in that moment?
Really, yeah, really important. And so sometimes you can do a little breathing practice before the journaling and just focus on your heart. But when you're writing down what you're grateful for, but actually just the act of writing it down will and seeing the words back at you, and that's a power that journaling has. It's reducing inflammation and, again, activating parts of your brain where that are not cognitive processing. It's more like connecting to these qualities of consciousness. And so, yeah, you want to just write them down and feel that. And that's why you close with it too. So it's the last step.
And then how about if there's something sticky that happened in the day and I find myself getting swept up? Like I can see myself going pretty good on that step 1 of just like, and getting swept up in it. And you said
Yeah.
neutral, and then I switched what I was about to write down, when you said like keep it neutral. So
Yeah.
what would you suggest when you feel like you're getting swept up because you are in an attachment, you want something to happen or something did happen and there's regret or something that's disturbing. How do we keep that neutral?
Yeah. So, again, this can take practice because when we're really attached to our thoughts, like many people don't really understand to how to just observe the thought. And, so it can take practice, but that's why I usually preface it with this should take 2 to 3 minutes. And if you find that it's taking longer, then just be aware. This is also a self-awareness practice. Like, what are my thoughts? And then if there's a particular sticky thing, you can leave yourself a little note and say, tomorrow I'm going to work on this as a separate sort of practice.
I love the discipline of that. I love the container of that. There's something really beautiful about a practice of just doing that anyway,
Yeah.
like all day long, right? But when you have a certain designated time to do it, hopefully that can transfer to other parts of your day as well, right?
Yeah.
So
And so
that's
that's
so
why
beautiful.
sometimes also if somebody's really getting stuck, because all of these things, it's a process, then that's when I'll go to just do the dumping, just like you're a stenographer, so just write down everything that's on your mind. And then when that natural pause comes, then just go on to step 2. Yeah. So it takes some practice, like everything, but I think it's a great self-awareness practice when you find yourself like, oh wow, isn't it interesting when I get to this, I get drawn into that
Right.
story. I'm gonna
Yeah.
work on that tomorrow.
And I love the seeds as well. I call those in my work with people, they're mindset reminders, but I'm loving this idea of seeds. It's almost like your pep team or like your cheerleaders in your head of just like, what do you need to be telling yourself that's going to allow you to be in elevated states? I have this quote and I'll share with you. It says, I am committed to doing what is required of me joyfully. I am committed to doing what is required of me joyfully. And I think that that's been really helpful in the last couple of weeks as I navigate the days because you can just kind of go, okay, I'll do this joyfully, but then when I'm doing this, okay, I'm just on autopilot, right? And just everything from taking a shower to cleaning the dishes or walking and getting my workout in, like, how can I do all of these things more joyfully? Has been a
Love
really
that.
wonderful way for me to stay focused of like what's important right now. And I think that's been helping elevated states where I would have just gone to sleep essentially to my day. So that's
Mhm.
been a fun one that I might have to write down every night for a while just to remember it's a good one.
I was just gonna say, I love that. I might take that and you put it in my
Yeah, it's a good one, right? Thank you so much for that practice. I can't wait to do it tonight. I'll have my nighttime journal next to me and I'll do that again, see what gets to come out. Thank you for leading me through that. I am such an experiential learner, which is what this podcast is about. I can talk all day long, but I'll never really understand what you're saying until I'm doing something. And so thank you for that. That's super helpful. How about you, Dr. Suhas? What do you want to walk me through tonight?
Two things that I will just add to what Dr. Sheila just now did. One is the language of what you're writing, the lingo.
Mm,
Okay. You should correct the language what you're writing. It should not be written as you're a victim, that someone did something bad to me or I hate this or something like that. So that language is important and you want to work on refining that. And the second is, even though your journal is next to your bedstand, don't wake up in the middle of the night that suddenly now I remember who I'm grateful for, so let me write it down. Don't do that.
Can you
Okay.
imagine?
Well, there are these type A pitta people who want to be perfect in every journaling experience. So sometimes it can happen. So just don't wake up in the middle of the night to complete that.
So, okay, what I'm hearing you say is just no victim writing when you're doing the observation part, that first step. Yeah, just really reframe neutral. That was like the neutral part that I was hearing
Yes,
from
yes.
you, right?
Emphasize on that word neutral, where you have to be a little bit more dispassionate, and that language is important. It should not be
Cool.
a victim language. It should not be even a violent communication with yourself. It has to be as much as non-violent as possible.
Yeah, I'm remembering something here that's been helpful when I can't be neutral, when I think I can't be neutral, is that I just think of it like I'm watching a movie. I'm not the one being chased by the lion. I'm just sitting here watching the movie and somebody is being chased by a lion, but I know I'm just watching the movie. So it's almost like this detachment from it of just watching it like I'm watching a movie and just remembering I'm watching a movie where I'm not getting my heart rate all pumped up. So that's a little shift that's always helped me.
mhm.
Are you 2 doing something different that you wanna share with us that allows you to what is to detach in that way for neutrality?
Listening. That's exactly what you're
Yes.
saying. So you're witnessing consciousness.
Yeah, I think that's why, having other practices like meditation as well, like that's really how you cultivate becoming the observer and the witness. And you realize you're not the story, you're the observer. So, I think the other practices are important. They all complement each other.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so anything else to add to that one? We feel good about that? I feel good.
All good.
I
All
feel
good.
good about that. Okay. Dr. Suhas, lead us.
Okay, so very simple practice, and you can practice this every night. So gently close your eyes and take a nice deep breath, and just breathe in and just breathe out through the nose. Very simple, very rhythmic, nothing different. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, you're going to quickly scan our senses one by one. First, pay attention to your ears, sound. What are you hearing with? Any faint sound of any kind. My voice could be the air conditioner in your room, anything. Just pay attention to it. Take a nice deep breath and just let it go. And then move on to touch. What are you feeling? Feel the temperature of the room. Is it warm, cool? Feel the sock that you're wearing, the warmth of your feet, or feel the fabric of the chair that you're sitting on, or the clothes that you're wearing. Just take a nice deep breath and let it go. Move your attention to your sight. Your eyes are closed. What are you seeing in front of your closed eyes? There should be some kind of image of something. Watch your thoughts taking shapes and images. Take a nice deep breath. Just let it go. Move your attention to your nose and smell what you can smell in the room. Gentle aroma of the fresh air sitting next to a window or kitchen. Any kind of aroma that is floating in the air. Smell it, feel it, take a nice deep breath and let it go. Just roll your tongue in your mouth and feel what are you tasting on your tongue. Could be anything or could be nothing. Just bring your awareness to your tongue. Take a nice deep breath and just let it go. And then lastly, bring your attention inwards to your own mind to see what it is. And you may be waiting for my next instruction, or you're worried about your next meeting, something what happened. The bubbles of your thoughts are rising, and you're just watching them from a distance. You let them come to the surface and pop. Every thought comes like a bubble and goes away. Observe your thoughts as if you're watching the procession go by. Take a nice deep breath. You just quickly scan your body. If you're feeling any discomfort anywhere, how does your gut feel? How is your heart pounding right now? How comfortable you're feeling? And as you have reached to this state of awareness, just tell yourself that I want a joyful, energetic body. I want a clear, reflective, perceptive mind. And I would like to have a grateful, compassionate heart and experience the world and my life, feeling of lightness of being. Take a nice deep breath, gently open my eyes in a space of awareness.
I'm ready to go to bed.
It's about 4.5 minutes what we did, but it just takes your whole outside world to the depth of relaxation.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for leading us through that. I think that my sabotage is letting go of the day and saying like, well, it's over now, and wanting to do something interesting, or watch some cool thing on YouTube or learn one more thing or something. And it's just, I can tell there's a constant like need for more that's happening. Almost like I'm like got this greedy, gimme energy in that moment of needing to just go to bed. And I know I see it with my clients in their conversations too, where they're like, one more episode, one more episode, one more episode. And being able to cultivate something more interesting than that is actually, I think, what I'm going to need to really break that habit. Thankfully, it happens less often than it did in the past, but I'll still get hooked in every now and then. And I find where when I can cultivate practices that are just more interesting than watching more episodes of a show I've seen already 5 times over, it makes it feel more special. It's almost like this feeling of, wow, this I'm feeding myself what I need. I'm giving myself what I need. And there's an energy to that. It's really quite beautiful. So thank you for these practices.
Thank you. And there's nothing better nurturing than a good night's sleep, I would say. So people can find our book. And I think that's the reason why we wrote the book, because sleep is the perfect template to really understand your your spiritual nature and your
Yes,
find your spiritual heartbeat, I would say. Because
exactly.
every
That's
time
it.
you wake up, that you were horizontal for 7, 8 hours, and thank God you're vertical and you're ready for another exciting day ahead.
Yeah, it's almost like setting myself up for success. That helps too. It's just like, okay, you're going to go get to do all this again tomorrow. Like, set yourself up. So each episode ends with a short note to my 8-year-old daughter, Abby. Just a bit of wisdom I hope she'll carry into her future. So I would love to ask you, what's something you've had to learn that you hope Abby never has to learn? It's almost just like this given, this obvious thing that she just gets to embody. What would you share with her? Maybe we'll start with you, Sheila.
So I think the one thing I would say is just connect to nature. Like what is nature doing and how can we align with that? When nature is going to sleep, how can we go to sleep? And just like build a connection to nature.
I love that. She always says to me, Mommy, why is my bedtime so early? All of my friends go to bed at like 9 or 10. And why do the cousins get to stay up and watch shows before bed? And I can just say, oh, we're following nature. Oh, that's such a more simple answer than what I've been saying to my kid.
Yeah, and even like bringing in like, oh, look, none of the rabbits are out right now. They're all asleep, something like that. Yeah.
I would say the last thing that you do before you go to sleep will make a big difference. So just teach her that the last thing before you go to sleep is very important. That will govern and dictate the quality of the nature.
Yeah. Thank you. We have our time. That's our time together when it's bedtime. and it's the best part
Okay.
of my day. We'll read books and talk about the day and laugh, and we just hang out, and it's just so fun for me. So I hope she remembers those times as a good time as well. We'll see. Hopefully setting her up for success. You two are doing such amazing work in the world. I'm going to ask everyone to buy your new book, Awake and Sleep. It's coming out. I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to share it with my community. Thank you so much, both of you,
Thank
for
you.
taking the time.
Take care. All the best.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for being here. If this episode resonated, subscribe and share it with someone who would love it too. And if you're ready to go deeper, start your 14-day free trial of the Be Human Medicine app. The link is in the show notes. Until next time, stay open and keep becoming.